Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of MMA and Coffee. On this episode, it's predictions for UFC 214.
Anaheim, baby.
Jimmy Manuwa against Volkan.
So Dana White flat out said that Jimmy's on this card in case John Jones can't show up for whatever reason. So knowing that, they actually really didn't give him an easy fight. Like, you kind of would think maybe they'd give him a showcase fight, but this guy is I know light heavyweight's not that good right now, but they're hilariously ranked 2 and 4. So like, look, it's a pretty decent fight for what the state that light heavyweight's in right now, which might sound bad because I know they're not huge names or anything. But this should be a pretty entertaining fight, I think.
This is going to be a stand-up fight, and either guy can knock out the other. I'm actually excited about this fight.
Manuwa could get upset. I think it's very likely it could happen. I'm even willing to go pick the guy to win. I'm kind of getting on the dude's bandwagon right now.
Well, Volkan's a dark horse for sure. Like, he just kind of appeared out of nowhere. What's interesting with this fight is I feel like if Jones wins, they're going to make the Gus rematch.
Yeah.
Whereas if Cormier wins and Jimmy wins, I think they're going to do the
They're more likely to do that.
Cormier fight.
They could easily make Cormier and Gus rematch too, though, because they had a close fight too.
But I think Cormier would want to fight Jimmy instead of Gus.
Probably.
I think that's what
just
would
someone
happen.
different.
Well, Jimmy's been calling him out, and the Gus fight was an easy fight for him.
Well, there's a little bit of history with Jimmy and Daniel versus. There's none there with John Jones and Jimmy at all.
Well, I'm just saying, like, Gus and Jones have history.
Yeah.
And I think Cormier and Jimmy kind of have some beef.
They have some beef.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So, who you got on it, though? No, it's
I think it go either way. You know, if Jimmy could catch him with his left hook, that's his punch. But Volkan, he's dark horse. I feel like I don't know enough about Volkan to bet on him.
I want to see his grappling. That's the main thing with me. And Jimmy will probably, at some point, go to the ground in this, unless he's just dominating him on the feet, which I think is going to be close on the feet. So I want to see Volkan's grappling, because whether or not he beats Jimmy, if he catches Jimmy and knocks him out, that doesn't mean crap if we're talking about going for a title shot here. Like, you're not going to just be able to stand up and beat Jones or Cormier ever. It'll never happen.
All right.
So it'll be good. We'll learn a little bit more about his skill set.
I think Jimmy should win, but if Volkan wins, wouldn't be surprised just because he's kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We don't know much about him.
Anyway.
All right. So next fight, Robbie Lawler and Cowboy Cerrone.
This has like fight of the year written all over it. I hope I didn't just jinx it. But like, you couldn't ask if you're just a fan of like a good brawl. Like, this is
barn burner.
Yeah, like a barn burner. Like I said, fight of the night probably. Which, you know, those predictions, sometimes something crazy happens, whatever. But like, this has it written all over it. And the winners, wow.
Okay, so what we need to, I think, point out though is both fighters are coming off losses.
Right.
And both fighters took a break, which I thought
was smart.
Yeah. That's exactly what they should have done.
Robbie's taking a longer break. Which Cowboy took a long break for Cowboy.
Right, from Cowboy standards.
Yeah.
So for me, Robbie was in so many like brawls, so many wars that he needed to take the time off. The question is, did those wars do damage that's irreversible?
Is it permanent? Yeah.
Like, so we're gonna see. And also, since Cowboy got dropped, we don't know about his chin either. So, I mean,
and he's shown vulnerability to body shots over the years.
Right. So to me, the fight could be a war, but then we don't know if either one's chin's gone after their last loss.
Basing it off of what I have seen from both men over the course of their careers, and he can tell you, I'm a huge Cowboy fanboy, and I do like Robbie too. But if I'm just being objective here, Robbie's been the champ. He's beat guys of a higher caliber than Cowboy has. And I'm going to go with Robbie on this. I think if they do get into an exchange, he's got heavier hands, has a better chance of doing something to Cowboy than Cowboy does to him, assuming that he still has his chin. Now, it's gone, or if he's, you know, like he mentioned irreversible damage, then, you know, that's a game changer. But assuming they're both still the same as they've always been, I think Robbie's going to end up winning this fight.
I agree, but I would point out this one thing. Robbie has been hit by head kicks in the past.
Right.
Rory hit him with one, and I think for Cowboy to win this, it would be by head kick.
He can't get into a boxing match with Robbie. He's got to be in a kickboxing match.
He has to be in kicking range, and for Robbie, I think he has better punches than Cowboy. So it depends on where the fight goes. If it's close, I think Robbie beats him with his boxing, and if it's far, I think Cowboy can catch him with the kick.
Yeah.
Again,
Cowboy's just inconsistent, man. That's my biggest problem with picking him in this fight. If the way he showed up and looked sometimes, I think he could catch him with the head kick and finish him.
His biggest critique is the big fights.
Yeah.
That, or like the Masvidal fight, I think he completely underestimated him.
And he has finally, for the most part, gotten over. He used to always start slow, and he's gotten better about that.
Right.
But I don't know.
You know what, too? Cowboy does look really good in this weight class. Other than the Masvidal fight, he looked good. Okay, so he might have a speed advantage.
You could argue Robbie's a pretty good step up from Masvidal, though. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a... I get that it's a stylistic matchup, but ranking-wise, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense.
Masvidal is really technical, whereas Robbie's a brawler.
Right. That's why they made the fight.
You know, I'll say... I think Robbie pulls it off, but just because it's a big fight, and if he does lose, if Robbie loses, it's from a head kick.
Yeah. Head says Robbie, heart says Cowboy. That's my final prediction.
Alright, so next fight would be Woodley versus Maia.
3 title fights. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Alright, who you got?
This is... You know, if the main event isn't what it is, you know, it's such a big fight, this would easily headline a pay-per-view on its own, in my opinion. Because this is a really good fight. Like, if you've been following the sport for a long time, I feel like you're probably kind of excited about this, like I am.
You know what? So Damian Maia gets the flack that he's not exciting.
Fine.
But I feel like diehard fans, like you said, are interested.
Been watching this guy fight forever, man. But he finally got a title shot.
Yeah, so I feel like we're excited about this fight, but like average people wouldn't be, because this is going to be a grappling match.
Yeah. So especially if it goes Maia's way.
You know what? I mean, the tell of this fight is, can Maia take him down? Can Woodley keep it standing up? That's the tell of the fight, really.
And even
if this fight turns into a striking match, I'm gonna laugh, because
it probably means Woodley's getting what he wants, though. It's going his way.
Woodley would win.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be kind of like Weidman versus Maia. If you haven't seen that fight, they both canceled each other in the grappling, and so it was a stand-up fight. It was kind of boring.
The thing with Woodley is he's definitely going to want to keep it standing, because even if he took down, I mean, he's a better wrestler than Maia. Not a better overall grappler, I don't think, but he's got better takedowns. And but he doesn't want to go to the ground with Maia. Maia could submit him from his back. So I think Woodley's going to do everything he can to keep this as a stand-up.
So what's interesting though is we've never seen Woodley on his back. We've never seen.
Maia somehow got him in a bad position. I think Maia finishes.
I think Maia could submit him, simply because Woodley's never been tested on the ground like that. He's always in the dominant position. We've never seen him have to defend. That's just a fact. He's always in the dominant position. So I'd be curious. Honestly, I'm rooting for Maia, but I think Woodley will win another boring decision.
Well, I mean,
or he could knock him out.
Yeah,
he could knock him out. He could catch him.
The reason I'm gonna go, and honestly, I won't even make it a secret. I'm not the biggest fan of Woodley, because I think he whines and complains too much, but he's going to probably be able to control where the fight takes place. And because of that, it's going to take place in the realm where he's got the advantage, which is striking. And I think he's faster, and he's a better boxer than Maia is. You know, I think he's going to win this fight and potentially even finish Maia. That's what I'm thinking.
It depends if he goes for it.
TKO.
You know what?
If he goes for it, he might coast, because he's not. He might just feel safe and coast.
The reason why I would be less likely to see a finish from Woodley is because I don't think he's going to go for it. I think he's going to play it safe. I think it's going to be like the Wonder Boy where they give each other too much respect. You know, he's going to give Maya a lot of respect, and so he's going to play it safe. Whereas Maya, if he's smart, doesn't give him respect, because if he does, then it's going to be on the feet. He needs to pressure him, take him down. The last thing I'll say about this fight is, what's really interesting to me is a lot of the welterweights talk about how strong Maya is, that they're surprised at how strong he is. They forget that he was a middleweight.
Right.
So, and Woodley physically is strong and looks strong, but I'm curious to see them in those exchanges, like grappling.
Right.
So, very interesting fight.
The last thing I'll say about it is that if Woodley plays it safe and wins and then bitches about the lack of respect again, I'm going to dislike him even more than I already do.
I don't know. Like, the way I feel is he should just go in there, put on good fights, and let that do the talking. The complaining, he's not winning any fans by doing that.
Right.
So that's all I'll say about that. Okay, so the next fight, title fight.
This might be the shortest talk on the thing, because I mean, you can talk about the background of this female featherweight title fight, and I could make a whole video about how much of a farce the first one is, and that this fight's kind of a farce in and of itself. Like, but this is the reason the division exists. It's going to start off the same way 135 did with Ronda. It's going to be a showcase for a dominant fighter, and she's finally going to fight for the belt like she should have been in the first fight, which I don't want to get into the politics that went behind that decision and the stupid business decision making. But she should win. Like, she's better than pretty much every, like, obviously better than...
Okay, if you don't know what we're talking about Cyborg versus Evinger.
Yeah.
Cyborg was supposed to fight Anderson.
If you don't know what we're talking about,
Anderson Anderson couldn't make the fight.
Yeah.
And so Evinger stepped up. Cyborg's huge favorite, should win. That's why they created the division.
She hasn't lost a fight in over 10 years.
If she loses it, I'd be like, wow.
Maybe this division shouldn't exist.
So, only thing I would say is, I would have liked to see Holly against Cyborg, but since that's not happening,
yeah, that's the business decision.
That's the only thing I would have said.
They screwed up.
But Cyborg should win. I think she finishes her.
Yeah, in like the first or second round, like TKO. She's probably gonna maul Evinger.
If Evinger wins, I'm just laughing.
It'll be funny. It'll be about right. They finally come around and make this division around her, and then it backfires on them. That'd be about right.
It'll just go to the whole idea of anything can happen in MMA.
Yeah, very true.
All right, so main event, rematch.
You know,
Cormier.
This fight's been scheduled so many times, and I've talked about it so many times. Maybe not on camera, but I'm almost sick about talking about all the possibilities of this fight. The shortest answer of it is, if Jon Jones comes out and looks like he normally does, and like he looked in the first fight, he will win the rematch. Cormier is the one that's got to not look the same. He's got to do something different. He can't just stand there and basically have a sparring match with Jones for 5 rounds. He's got to have a better game plan.
I agree.
Otherwise, Jones is going to win.
People forget, though.
Jones is coming off a long layoff, though. That's the one thing that favors Cormier.
So people forget that, and Cormier's used to fighting 5 rounds now.
Right.
So I don't see him getting as tired as the first fight.
I think he'll be better conditioned.
So people forget that the first fight was close, and Cormier did a lot of mistakes.
Did get a takedown eventually, even.
But after that, Jones just got back up. So So what I would say is, like Zach said, Cormier should fight completely different. The first fight, he looked to stand and try to knock Jones out, and
he was too emotional.
He was way too emotional. He didn't fight smart. There was a lot of clinch work, and I felt like Jones completely shut him down in the clinch.
That's what he does. No one's ever been better in the clinch.
And Cormier doesn't have the reach advantage, so all this stuff kind of goes towards Jones's advantages. Whereas I think Cormier should look to take him down early and as much as possible, just turn it into a wrestling match. Don't strike with him. If he does, I think he loses the decision. And at the same time, though, it's the only thing I would say is Cormier should be in better shape than the first fight, just because he's fought multiple 5-round fights now.
Yeah.
So he should be used to that. Jon Jones hadn't fought in a while, and so that's a factor. Really, the fight could go. If we think about it, the first fight was close, okay?
It was. It's a lot closer than people act like it was.
Neither one finished each other, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if either wins a decision and we see another rematch, because it's going to be so close.
If Jones wins, there's not going to be a third fight.
No. But if Cormier
wins, there probably will be. Yeah.
And I think it's going to be close, though. There's just so many factors in this fight that are unknown.
Yeah.
We don't know if Cormier is going to do the same thing. We don't know what Jones is going to do. If he's going to look the same.
Right.
So
is he going to look the same for 5 rounds? Like, what's Jones' condition?
You know, old Jones or young Jones.
Yeah.
When he was young, I would say him all day.
Yeah.
But that layoff and Cormier's used to 5 rounds. Wouldn't be surprised if Cormier pulled it off decision. Be really, really interesting. But
it's really hard to make a pick against Jon Jones. I mean, the dude's never lost for a reason. But there's a lot of X factors here that are not necessarily in his favor, other than the fact he has beat him before.
If Jones wins this fight, my conclusion would be that Jon Jones has Cormier's number.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
He just knows how to beat him. He has the style. He has the attributes to cancel out Cormier's like best stuff. So
you kind of touched on it, but like Cormier likes to call himself the king of the grind. That's what he has to do. And the ironic thing is, what Cormier has to do to win this fight isn't going to win him any fans. But screw it, win the fight. Like, I think he has the tools. It's just whether or not he has the tools for 25 minutes.
Right. So the key to this fight is for him to take him down.
Is to not stand with a dude that's got 84.5-inch reach.
Yeah, not stand with him in that clinch. Now, if it goes like the last fight, the only thing I can say is maybe Cormier doesn't tire out in the 4th and 5th, because that first fight he did tire out in those rounds. So maybe he'll not get tired. But if that happens, it just means the fight's gonna be even closer.
The most confident I have in a prediction, I will make a prediction, but the most confident part of a prediction I have is that the 4th and 5th rounds are going to be the most important rounds in this fight. Basically, whoever's fresher in those 4th and 5th rounds is more likely than not going to win the fight. It's probably going to be the difference. Like, I don't think anyone's going to sweep the first 3. You know what I mean? Whoever really wants it more is going to take it in those championship rounds. That's really what I think. And at the end of the day, it's hard to pick against Jones, but no secret with Louisiana boys, and I'm kind of biased, so I'm going with my boy Cormier on this. I hope he pulls it off and keeps the belt and legitimizes his entire title reign.
So, for me, if we look at it objectively, no emotions, I feel like Cormier has a lot of odds in his favor. He's been active. He's been fighting 5-round fights.
Yeah.
Jones has been out. Like, this is his chance to beat him.
This is the best chance he's ever had.
So if he don't beat him this time,
he's never
going to beat him. So
he's only going to be older.
Yeah. So to me, like, this is it for him. Yep. This is it for him. And if he beats him, do they have a rematch? So probably. Like, I mean, I think Cormier, he should with those factors. But if he doesn't, it's because Jones just has his number.
Then it's because Jones is the greatest of all time. So there we go.
Right. So that's what we think about the fight. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. See you next time.